Welcome back. The first thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to set up our buttons here to function as spawners, so that when I press this button, it will spawn the corresponding object. So, in order to do that, we're going to move our object into this little cavity here so that I can use this as a reference for every object that is created, and I can just put it in here. Now, I'm going to be typing this number a lot, so I'm just going to put in the exact values here to the smallest decimal so that it's not a hassle for me. For me, that becomes 2, 0.9, and 2.2 for this object. Okay, and I'm going to quickly bring these into the same location. Except for the height might be different because these are differently sized objects, just by a bit. 0.87. And I'm going to use the other molecule sphere to do the same. Okay. And with this, I know the position that I'm going to want these to be spawned at. And I'm happy with this result. So, next, we're going to want to go to our Rules tab because we want the user to be able to create and spawn these at any point during the simulation as many times as we want to allow them to do so. So, first we're going to go to the Rules tab. This is currently empty, and in order to add a rule, you click this button right here. This will create an empty rule. You're able to rename your rule by typing in here. I'm going to just put this one as spawn molecule connection. Okay, now rules function very similarly to the way the scenario flow does, but all triggers, conditions, and actions are contained within the one statement. So in this case, when our trigger occurs, if all the conditions are met, then it will do the corresponding action. Our trigger, in this case, is going to be a use action of our gray cylinder. Okay, use actions, you can set in these parameters. I don't want either of these. I'll make it so that you can highlight the object so you'll see when it's on it, but I don't want the text box indicator. In this case, we do not need any conditions, and the action that we want it to do is we want it to use this spawner property. So we go down, find spawner, and click create. Then we hit this drop down and we select our M connection. Now, spawner has a little bit of behaviors in here. First is the amount that this particular spawner is able to produce. I could make this number limited between whatever I would like. In this case, I'm going to put this at 5. So the max amount of connection pieces you could spawn based off of this is 5. And then you're going to want to put in the exact position that the object comes into, which is going to match what we set it to before. In this case, it's going to be 2, 0.9, and 2.2. You can do the same with the orientation of the object, its initial spawn position, by changing the rotation. You can also delay the action and when the object is put into its place. In this case, I don't feel the need to adjust this. We are going to now add 2 more rules that are very similar in nature. In this case, spawn molecule sphere 1 and spawn molecule sphere 2. Again, we're going to do our use action, but rather than our gray cylinder we're going to use the red cylinder. Oops. I got that reversed. Sorry, we're going to use the white cylinder. And again, remove text box indicator to spawn nsphere 1 at the position that we had, which is 2, 0.87, and 2.2. And this one, use red cylinder to spawn msphere 2 at 2, 0.87, and 2.2. And with this, we have created our functions such that I'd be able to spawn in these objects with their corresponding buttons. Next, we're going to go through this, and we can keep these max amounts at 20. And after realizing I'm having 20 of these of each, I want them all to be able to connect. So actually, rather than a max amount of 5, I'm going to switch this to a max amount of 10. So with this, we have set up all that we need to do for manipulating or creating these initial objects. And the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want each of these objects to be part of a group so that they can function as individual components within this. So that way, I'm able to put or have any sphere created by this system match the intended behavior, and all of these are going to be able to be connected together at either end of this connection. That is going to be through the process of VO groups. Please tune in next time, and thank you so much. I'll be back shortly.